Tensions between mainland China and the island of Taiwan have been ramping up for years. Some analysts say the situation could be on track to escalate into a military confrontation. In 2016, Tsai Ing-wen was elected president of Taiwan. Voters gave her Democratic Progressive Party, which is skeptical of closer ties with mainland China, control of Taiwan's legislature for the first time. Her predecessor, Ma Ying-jeou of the Kuomintang Party, had been pursuing a closer relationship with the mainland, primarily through economic agreements. Now, to understand where we are today, we need to look back at the history. Back in 1949, Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist forces retreated to Taiwan. They set up an interim government following their defeat to the Chinese Communist Party in China's Civil War. Since then, both governments have claimed to be the only legitimate ruler of all of China. But in an historic meeting in Hong Kong in 1992, which gave birth to the term the 1992 Consensus, an agreement was reached under which both sides recognized the principle of one China, but define it in their own ways, leaving the answer to who legitimately rules China ambiguous. That led to a series of economic and cultural exchanges. But it changed when Tsai came to power. Her Democratic Progressive Party is known for its independence-leaning stance. It refuses to recognize the one China principle, that there is only one China, and Taiwan is part of it. The Chinese mainland is officially known as the People's Republic of China, or PRC, and is ruled by the Communist Party. Beijing considers Taiwan to be a breakaway province of China. In practice, the island runs itself under the official name Republic of China, or ROC.
我要呼吁中国大陆当局正视中华民国的存在的事实，正视台湾人民对于民主制度的坚信。
Independence for Taiwan is something Chinese President Xi Jinping and the Communist Party simply will not accept. Not long after Tsai's inauguration, Beijing suspended all official communications with Taipei. When Donald Trump won the 2016 US election, Tsai spoke to the president-elect in a 10-minute phone call. It was a break with US policy set in 1979, when formal relations were cut. And mainland authorities lodged a formal complaint with Washington over the call. Since then, relations between the Tsai and Trump administrations have appeared to grow closer. But other countries have severed diplomatic ties with Taipei in favor of Beijing. During Tsai's first presidential term, 7 countries relocated their embassies from the island to the mainland. The latest to do so was the Pacific island nation of Kiribati in September 2019. That led to Taiwan's foreign minister accusing mainland China of suppressing and reducing Taipei's international presence to force people in Taiwan to accept one country, two systems, and ultimately destroy the island's sovereignty. All but 14 countries in the Holy See have cut diplomatic ties with Taiwan. The one country, two systems principle is what China uses to govern the special administrative regions of Hong Kong and Macau, which is supposed to guarantee a high degree of autonomy from the central government in Beijing. In January 2019, Chinese President Xi urged Taiwan to embrace the model as a way to bring the island back under the umbrella of the PRC.
我们愿意以最大诚意，尽最大努力 争取和平统一的前景，因为以和平方式实现统一，对两岸同胞和全民族最有利。我们不承诺放弃使用武力。
But Tsai rejected Xi's offer.
台湾绝不会接受一国两制，绝大多数台湾民意也坚决反对一国两制，而这也是台湾共识。
Most Taiwanese voters seem to agree. In January 2020, Tsai was re-elected with a landslide victory. In her inauguration speech, she said cross-strait relations had reached a historical turning point. Then the coronavirus pandemic began infecting people around the world in early 2020. Taiwan has been applauded internationally for quickly and effectively stemming the spread of the virus. But Beijing blocked Taiwan from attending the annual United Nations World Health Assembly in May. Then in September, Taiwan redesigned the cover of its passports. It made the word Taiwan more prominent while shrinking its official name, Republic of China. Officials said it was to better distinguish travelers from Taiwan and mainland China after some Taiwanese complained about discrimination at immigration checkpoints since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. Tsai also openly supports Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement. The mainland has warned Taiwan against offering asylum to Hong Kong protesters. Following last year's months of anti-government protests, Beijing imposed a national security law on Hong Kong in June that activists, legal experts, and opposition politicians say threatens the city's freedoms. Tsai's government has set up an office to offer humanitarian aid to Hong Kongers. Since then, some people from Hong Kong have fled to Taiwan. In July, a group of 5 Hong Kongers who tried to reach Taiwan by boat were picked up by the island's Coast Guard and detained in Taiwan. In August, another 12 who tried to get to Taiwan by sea were arrested by mainland Chinese authorities on suspicion of crossing the border illegally. They are being held in Shenzhen. In August, Health Secretary Alex Azar became the highest-ranking American official in 40 years to travel to the island. His trip was followed in September by Undersecretary of State for Economic Affairs Keith Krok, who attended a memorial service for former Taiwanese President Lee Teng-hui. China launched military drills to coincide with both visits. In August, Chinese J-11 and J-10 fighter jets flew into the Taiwan Strait and briefly crossed the unofficial midline between the mainland and the island. And in September, Beijing sent nearly 40 warplanes over the strait, and some of the jets crossed the midline again. China has insisted that Taiwan will be reunified with the mainland one day, and by force if necessary. In the past, political analysts said a military option seemed unlikely because China didn't have the military expertise and equipment to take on a Taiwan armed with advanced American weapons and backed by Washington's pledge to assist in the island's defense. China would also face an international backlash if it were to invade Taiwan. But those assumptions may not hold true today. President Xi has overhauled and modernized the People's Liberation Army and has made reunifying Taiwan with the mainland one of his key goals. As tensions continue to rise, the frequency of Chinese military exercises around Taiwan has increased. In late October, the US offered 2 arms deals to Taiwan in the space of a week. For the first time in over 40 years, America offered Taiwan meaningful offensive weapons capable of striking coastal areas of the Chinese mainland. Beijing slammed Tsai and her ruling party for taking up the offer.
民进党当局公然对大陆进行赤裸裸的军事威胁和挑衅，不自量力，企图勾连外部势力以武谋独，加剧台海紧张，只会严重破坏台海和平稳定，给台湾民众带来深重灾难，最终必然是死路一条。
But after Joe Biden's November 2020 presidential election victory, the future relationship between Beijing and Washington could become even more unpredictable for Taipei. The change in US leadership starting in January 2021 could have a significant impact on cross-strait issues. And so the deadlock continues. Despite China's threats, Tsai and her ruling party will not be deterred from their goal of having Taiwan recognized as a sovereign state. At the same time, she and the Communist Party are determined to never let Taiwan go.